Ilia Topuria, one of the UFC's brightest rising stars, recently reacted to the madness of UFC 320, and he didn't hold back his admiration for his close friend and fellow countryman, Merab Dvalishvili. The Georgian bantamweight put on a masterclass against Corey Sandhagen, overwhelming him with his trademark relentless pace and unmatched cardio. For many fans and fighters, the performance was nothing short of legendary, and Topuria made sure the world knew how much it meant to him. On Instagram, Topuria shared a heartfelt message originally written in Spanish, later translated into English. His words highlighted not only Merab's dominance inside the octagon, but also his character outside it. "Brother, we've reached the point where your victories seem almost normal, but we all know how hard it is to get there. I say this with pride. You are a living legend, an example of hard work, sacrifice, and heart. Beyond being a fighter, you are an incredible person with a soul too big for your chest. We love you, we support you, and we are with you every step of the way." For Topuria, watching Dvalishvili dismantle Sandhagen was not just about technique. It was a reminder of the years of sacrifice and discipline required to reach the top. While Merab celebrated his dominant win, the spotlight quickly turned to Topuria's future. El Matador is expected to return in early 2026 for his first lightweight title defense. Though some believe Justin Gaethje could be next, all signs point to Paddy Pimblett being the frontrunner. If finalized, the fight would headline Paramount's first UFC card of the new year, a historic stage for one of the most anticipated clashes in recent memory. Fans are eager to see Topuria's precision and power against Pimblett's aggressive, fan-favorite style. Pimblett has already spoken about sharpening his timing but remains confident in his grappling. "When I get people on the floor, they don't get up. I smother people, control them, and make them feel my weight. When I'm on top, you're not getting up." After months of travel, Pimblett is now back home in Liverpool, settled and training with his team, with Merab cementing his status as a relentless force at bantamweight, and Topuria preparing for his first defense. Before moving on to the next update, we have a quick request. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Move on to another news. Alex Pereira has his sights set on something monumental, a potential super fight against Jon Jones, and he wants it to happen at the UFC's highly anticipated White House Card. Fresh off his dominance at light heavyweight, Pereira has openly discussed moving up to heavyweight, and he believes a clash with the reigning legend would be the biggest fight the UFC could make. While names like Carlos Ulberg and Jiri Prochazka have been circling as contenders hungry for a shot at Pereira's belt, the Brazilian superstar isn't shy about thinking bigger. "There are options," Pereira admitted. "Carlos and Jiri both really want the fight, but I've also talked about going up to heavyweight. At the end of the day, I don't make the fights. The UFC decides. But if it were up to me, the most exciting and meaningful matchup is Jon Jones." Pereira's willingness to entertain the move comes at an intriguing time. The heavyweight division is already booked with Tom Aspinall set to face Cyril Gane in a blockbuster matchup next month. Many believe Pereira could wait for the winner of that bout if he truly commits to the jump up in weight. Still, for Poton, the idea of a super fight with Jon Jones transcends rankings and divisions. "That would be the fight," Pereira emphasized. "Jon Jones at the White House Card, it doesn't get bigger than that. That's the super fight." The UFC's first ever event at the White House has already been generating headlines, with Conor McGregor's return and several marquee bouts in discussion. Adding Pereira versus Jones would turn it into a historic spectacle, a battle between two of the most dominant and feared fighters of their generation. For now, Pereira remains patient, acknowledging that matchmaking isn't in his hands. But make no mistake, whether it's defending against Ulberg or Prochazka, moving up to fight the winner of Aspinall via Gane, or going straight into a once-in-a-lifetime showdown with Jon Jones, the options ahead for Alex Pereira are as electrifying as they are limitless. Move on to another news. Alex Pereira has delivered some sobering news following his massive victory over McGregor Ankalaev at UFC 320. Just when fans were celebrating another dominant display from the reigning champion, Pereira revealed that he may have suffered a serious injury during the fight. Backstage after the bout, Pereira was spotted wearing a brace on his foot, which quickly sparked speculation online. Many wondered if the injury had been lingering before he even entered the octagon. However, Pereira was quick to shut down those rumors. Speaking first to ESPN and later at his post-fight press conference, the Brazilian star clarified that the injury happened during the fight itself and not beforehand. According to Pereira, the damage occurred in the opening moments of the first round. "I think I broke my foot kicking Ankalaev's leg," Pereira admitted. "Within the first couple of seconds, I threw a kick, and when he switched stances after I connected with his lead leg, I immediately felt something in my foot." Despite the injury, Pereira pressed forward and still managed to deliver a spectacular finish, further cementing his reputation as one of the most dangerous strikers in the UFC today. Yet, Yet, the revelation has raised questions about how the fight might have played out had Ankalaev managed to push Pereira into deeper waters. Competing for several rounds with a potential broken foot could have dramatically changed the pace and flow of the contest. At the moment, Pereira's return timeline remains uncertain. He confirmed that doctors will need to run further tests to determine the full extent of the damage. Only after a medical evaluation will there be clarity on how long he may be sidelined. Right now, I don't know when I'll be fighting again, he said. We'll wait for the doctors to give us answers. The news is undoubtedly disappointing for fans eager to see Pereira back in action soon, especially with heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions buzzing with potential challengers. Still, his ability to score such an emphatic victory while possibly dealing with a broken foot highlights the grit and toughness that have defined his meteoric rise. While the UFC world waits on updates from Pereira's medical team, one thing is clear: his latest performance, injury and all, will be remembered as yet another example of the champion's warrior spirit. Move on to another news. Alex Pereira has made his stance clear regarding Khamzat Chimaev's latest call-out, and it doesn't look promising for fans hoping to see that fight. Following his thrilling win at UFC 320, Chimaev quickly took to social media platform X to address the reigning light heavyweight champion. In a direct post aimed at Pereira, the middleweight king wrote, "Congrats! Now we need to finish our business." The message instantly grabbed attention, reigniting talk of a potential clash between the two. Chimaev, known for his brash confidence and undefeated streak at middleweight, has long been considered a possible opponent for Pereira. Many fans speculated this could be the perfect moment to set up a blockbuster showdown between the pair. But when Pereira was asked about it at his post-fight press conference, his response signaled little to no interest in pursuing the matchup. Rather than hyping up the call-out, Pereira calmly dismissed it and redirected the conversation toward his own ambitions. "Thanks for the congratulations," Pereira said, "but all I want now is a super fight. I want to fight at heavyweight. That's my focus." With those words, Pereira essentially shut the door on Chimaev's proposal, at least for the time being. His sights are set higher, both literally and figuratively. After conquering the middleweight and light heavyweight divisions, Pereira has openly entertained the idea of moving to heavyweight, where names like Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane, and even Jon Jones represent dream matchups that could further cement his legacy. The call-out itself raises interesting questions. When Chimaev said, "We need to finish our business," it's unclear exactly what rivalry he was referring to. While both fighters have shared heated words in the past, they've never actually fought. Still, Chimaev's aggressive style and reputation as a relentless grappler make him a unique threat, in a fight that would certainly draw massive fan interest. For now, though, Pereira seems unmoved by the noise. His polite but firm response suggests that he sees Chimaev's challenge as less pressing than the opportunity to chase history at a third weight class. And with the UFC preparing for its historic White House Card and heavyweight title picture evolving, the timing could align perfectly for Pereira to make his next move on the sport's biggest stage. As things stand, Chimaev may need to continue making his case if he truly wants the Pereira fight. Move on to another news. Former UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker recently weighed in on Ankalaev's future in the light heavyweight division, and his assessment was anything but optimistic. Speaking candidly, Whittaker reflected on Ankalaev's rematch against Alex Pereira and suggested that the Russian contender may never get another shot at UFC gold. Whittaker pointed out that Pereira had claimed he was only at 40% of his abilities during their first fight due to illness and lingering injuries. At the time, many fans and analysts questioned whether that was simply an excuse. But after watching Pereira's dominant performance in the rematch, Whittaker admitted he now fully believes the Brazilian. He said in his first fight he was sick, he had injuries, and was fighting at 40%. "Dude, I believe him now," Whittaker said. "It's not that I didn't believe him before, but everyone kept saying Ankalaev controlled that fight, and what happened happened. But after this second fight, the difference was insane." Whittaker even went as far as to joke that Pereira must have been close to having leprosy in the first meeting, given how drastic the contrast was. was between both performances. In his view, the rematch showed what most fans expect from any Pereira fight: explosive striking, devastating power, and a complete takeover once he finds his rhythm. The Australian star emphasized that this version of Pereira looked like the fighter everyone had anticipated from the start. As for Ankalaev, Whittaker's outlook was blunt. He believes the loss has pushed the Russian far down the ladder in one of the UFC's most competitive divisions. It's safe to say that Magomed Ankalaev is probably never seeing a title opportunity for a long time, if ever, Whittaker stated. What a fight that was, but man, I'm still shocked. I didn't expect the gap to be this wide. According to Whittaker, Ankalaev will now have to take the long road back, grinding through the division's toughest contenders if he wants another chance at the belt. With fighters like Jiri Prokaska, Jamahal Hill, and John Blachowicz all in the mix, the path is anything but easy. And given Ankalaev's often criticized fighting style, considered too patient or even boring by some, he may not find himself back in the title conversation anytime soon. Whittaker concluded by stressing that the light heavyweight division is unforgiving. Move on to another news. UFC President Dana White has responded to recent comments made by Conor McGregor, who claimed his long-awaited return fight at the White House Card was already a done deal. While McGregor's declaration sent shockwaves through the MMA community and had fans buzzing about the historic event, White quickly stepped in to set the record straight. Speaking to reporters, Dana White clarified that no fights, including McGregor's, have been finalized for the highly anticipated White House Card. According to the UFC boss, the organization is still in the early stages of logistical planning and hasn't even begun the process of negotiating specific bouts. We're still talking about the production and how everything's going to work at the White House, White explained. We have not started negotiating any fights for the White House yet. That won't even start until February. White emphasized that while McGregor's enthusiasm is obvious, fans should temper their expectations until official announcements are made. I've made it clear that Conor wants to fight on that card, Dana said. You can clearly see he's very fired up about it, but nothing is done yet and no fights are being negotiated with the White House. McGregor's comments about his return quickly spread online, sparking speculation about potential opponents and whether his comeback would mark one of the biggest events in UFC history. For many fans, the thought of McGregor headlining a card at such an iconic location feels almost surreal. However, Dana's remarks serve as a reminder that the UFC operates on strict timelines, and even blockbuster fights require careful coordination. The White House event itself has been generating massive attention, with the promise of combining high-level mixed martial arts with a one-of-a-kind historic setting. As White pointed out, much of the focus right now is on production, from staging and logistics to ensuring the event can meet both UFC's and the White House's standards. Only once those details are solidified will the UFC begin building out the fight card. For McGregor, the desire to be part of the event is undeniable. The former two-division champion has repeatedly expressed his hunger to compete again, and this stage would mark a monumental comeback. Still, as Dana White made clear, the UFC has yet to officially put pen to paper. Until then, everything remains in the realm of speculation. Move on to another news. UFC bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley has given his reaction to Merab Dvalishvili's dominant win at UFC 320, and his words carried both praise and confidence. Watching Dvalishvili's relentless performance against Corey Sandhagen, O'Malley couldn't help but be impressed by the Georgian's pace, power, and ability to blend striking with takedowns seamlessly. Beautiful right hand, straight into a takedown, O'Malley said as he broke down the fight. God, Merab's good. He actually reminds me of myself in a lot of ways. The compliment didn't stop there, as O'Malley acknowledged just how impressive it was to see Dvalishvili dismantle a fighter of Sandhagen's caliber. Rob basically beat the hell out of Corey, and in my opinion, Corey is one of the best fighters in the UFC. Skill for skill, wrestling, striking, jiu-jitsu, he's one of the best in the world. And Merab just beat him up. For O'Malley, who has already shared the octagon with Dvalishvili, the performance reinforced just how dangerous his former opponent really is. At the same time, it reminded him of his own accomplishments. It's crazy to think that I finished Merab, O'Malley pointed out. After watching what he just did to Corey, I don't see anyone beating him unless I fight him again. That thought naturally brought O'Malley to the idea of a trilogy fight. The two fighters already share a dramatic history, and a third meeting could provide the definitive ending to one of the division's most compelling rivalries. Trilogy at the White House, O'Malley teased, referencing the UFC's upcoming historic event. It was part excitement, part challenge, as the bantamweight champs seemed to be planting the seeds for one of the biggest possible fights in the UFC's near future. While O'Malley continues to enjoy the spotlight as one of the UFC's biggest stars, his comments showed that he is keeping a close eye on the rest of the bantamweight division. With Merab Dvalishvili cementing himself as a dominant force, the possibility of a third clash between the two fighters feels more real than ever. And if it does happen on the grand stage of the White House card, it would not only settle their rivalry, but also create a historic moment for the sport.